Hey guys, if you like audiobooks or audio shows, check out a free trial of Audible. Just click the link in the description.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Mindshock podcast, True Crime. Today, we will be starting our new True Crime series, which is going to end up having more rabbit holes than the Maura Murray investigation, probably. It is the Springfield 3. And it's absolutely insane. There are serial killers. There are weird police chiefs that are sketchy. There are DWBs, Maxwell.
Oh, shit.
DWBs.
Oh, shit.
And
This is Brooke Davis. He didn't fall
Maxwell
for
Powers over here.
it.
And I'm Bruce McGuire.
Hi, Mindshocker.
So yeah, this one is rough. This one is rough. So I'm gonna read an article written by Steve Pokin, and he titled this article "Pokin' Around." I guess that's his corner of the newspaper.
All right.
Three missing women here, then suddenly nowhere. This was written June 5th, 2015, so it's kind of new. They were here, then suddenly they were nowhere. And with the passage of time, it looks like they will be nowhere forever. He's not optimistic. Three Springfield women were apparently abducted on June 7th, 1992. They have not been seen since. Friends Suzy Streeter, 19, and Stacy McCall, 18, had their lives in front of them. The day before they disappeared, they had graduated from Kickapoo High School.
That's cool.
The young women were last seen around 2:15 a.m., June 7th, at a graduation party. They left and are believed to have gone to the home of Suzanne's mother, Sherrill Levitt. They planned to go to an amusement park the next day. But they did not. Police believe instead someone took them against their will that night or early morning. Relatives found Levitt's house in disarray. Not suspecting abduction, they cleaned things up. Investigators wish they had not done that.
That's terrible.
The woman's purses and other possessions were left behind. Nothing apparently was stolen. Which leads to the question, how do three people vanish from the face of the earth? That has been the question ever since, says Daryl Moore, who was first assistant in the Greene County Prosecutor's Office back then. That is still a good question, one that we do not know the answer to. Moore later served as Greene County prosecuting attorney for 12 years. He is retired. Obviously, with the passage of time, the odds are not good that they are alive, Moore says, but we really don't know. You would think that if they are dead, their remains some point be found, perhaps by a hunter in a field. McCall's mother, Janice, remains in Springfield. She created the website One Missing Link, a nonprofit that assists families with missing persons. I was unable to reach her for this story. Lisa Cox, a police spokeswoman, tells me the case has generated 5,000 tips over the years. Investigators have compiled over 27,000 documents.
Wow.
That sounds as big as the Maura Murray file. The case has never been suspended and has always been assigned to at least one of our detectives who follows up on the ongoing incoming tips, she says. Cox would not say if there was perhaps a new wrinkle to the investigation. Even if there were, she tells me the department would not reveal such information this week because investigators most familiar with the case were unavailable. Springfield investigators have sought help. From 2010 to 2012, they reviewed the case and for 3 days in 2012 presented that information to a panel of 25 criminal justice investigators assembled by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I asked Cox what the department learned from that review. Several recommendations by the panel were incorporated into the ongoing investigation, she says in an email. Those recommendations received are not items we can publicly release. A $42,000 reward remains in place for information that leads to prosecution. In recent years, Cox says the department gets about 100 tips a year. Some are from people who claim to be psychic. In addition, she says the department continues to receive tips already determined to be unsubstantiated. Moore tells me of the tip that the woman's bodies were buried in the foundational concrete of a Cox hospital parking garage related to the police investigation. At South National Avenue and Primrose Street. The tip came from someone who either claimed to be a psychic or claimed to have a dream or vision about the case, Moore says. He can't recall the specifics. It was in the category of, my dog is psychic and he is telling me there are bones there. It was along that line, he says. If we had sought a search warrant based on that, we would have been laughed out of court. In another instant, he says a psychic called to say the bodies were in a blanket buried near water. People have dreams and visions, he says. I'm sure they mean well, but it was a waste of police resources. Moore recalls 2 times when search warrants were granted to dig for bodies. One tip was that the bodies were in a cave or some type of depression in Webster County, he says. The other tip was that they were buried in an abandoned farmhouse in Barry County. The allegation was that a green van was involved. Moore says the tip was that the van and the bodies were buried on the property. Investigators tore up the flooring of the house and dug. They dug outside as well. Nothing was found. It is not an established fact that a green van was involved, Moore says. There were people who insisted there was a green van and we could not totally discard it, he says. Moore still prays for justice for McCall, who worked at a health club, and for Streeter, who had a job at a movie theater, and for Levitt, a beautician at New Attitudes Hair Salon, which is still at 210 East Sunshine Street. Many criminals eventually tell stories of their crimes, he says, or perhaps relatives of the person who did it have long been suspicious and are finally ready to come forward. I still think there is one or more people out there who know what happened, he tells me.
Oh, shit.
So that's a recent article, but I'm going to go through basically the story. Here's the backstory. So I'll give a little bit more details. So this was graduation day. So then they're going to all these parties. Now, originally, the high school was going to have a alcohol-free lock-in, and Stacy and Suzy were going to do that. Then they changed their minds, and they're like, oh, we're just going to go party at friends' houses. Mm-hmm. So then they went to their friend Janelle, and the original plan was to drive up north to Branson, where the amusement water park was that they wanted to go to the following day. Mm-hmm. They were going to get a hotel room that night and stay there. So they're going to drive up. But I think especially Stacy's mom didn't want them to drive because she was afraid of drink and driving car accidents. She was like, just go up tomorrow. So they're like, oh, okay, we'll just stay at their friend Janelle Kirby's house instead. That's their classmate. Mm-hmm. She was a mutual friend of both Suzy and Stacy. And for whatever reason, they didn't all hang out together. So Janelle did stuff with Suzy and then separately did stuff with Stacy. I don't know how that's going to factor in later, but on this particular night, they were all together and the party was at Janelle's house. Apparently, there were a few different parties, and we'll get into that later, but they were going to stay at Janelle's house overnight, but then she had all her relatives over because they came for graduation. Mm-hmm. So that last sighting between 2 and 2:20 a.m., that's when they changed plans and they were going to go stay at Suzy's house. She had gotten a new waterbed, and that was better than sleeping on the floor at Janelle's house. They asked Janelle if she wanted to come, but her mom said she couldn't come.
All right.
Okay. Apparently, also, Suzy was agitated that whole night, and she didn't want to be alone.
Okay.
And so that's why she wanted Stacy or anybody to come stay with her, even though her mom was still at the house. So their house is 1717 East Delmar Street. So it is assumed that they arrived because their clothing, jewelry, purses, and vehicles were all present at the house.
All right. This might sound silly, but is there any similarities to alien abductions? Like, is there any missing time? Is there any... No. Because they could have been abducted.
Yeah, no.
All right, go on.
No aliens or Mothman yet.
I wasn't doing that. I was being serious.
The first theory is like...
no, but... Like hold on. So the mother was last heard from 11:15 p.m. that night when she was talking on the phone with a friend.
Okay.
This is the last, 100% confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
So, the alleged timeline of the three is suspected to be convoluted because the friends who saw Suzy and Stacy the previous evenings, which is Janelle and then also her boyfriend Mike Henson, they all went to school together, they were the first to arrive at the Levitt home the next day. Another suspicious thing is that they had never been to the house before. So Janelle, they're supposed to go to the water park the following day. So Janelle is calling them, called a bunch of times, no one picked up. So then she and Mike, her boyfriend, they went to the house. Now, just so you know what kind of situation we're dealing with here, the Levitt, Sherrill and Suzy had just moved into that house 2 months prior, or a couple months prior. They had just bought the house. Mm-hmm. So, for example, Stacy's mom didn't even know where she lived because they had just moved recently. And Janelle and Mike had never been to the house before. So they get to the house.
Human trafficking, slave trade. It could be. It could be. Were they attractive?
Yes.
So,
Stacy was actually a model.
Yeah, so they could have been abducted and sold. Like they could. I'm going back to it. It's
All right, hold on. Well, let me go through the details of the case first.
Go on.
So they get to the house around 9 a.m. Kirby and her boyfriend Mike Henson visited the house first time after Streeter and McCall failed to show up at her home because they were all supposed to go to the water park and they were supposed to leave from Janelle's house. So they didn't show up. She called a bunch of times. So upon arriving, Kirby found the door unlocked and entered the home, but found no sight of Streeter, McCall, or Levitt. Each of the woman's cars were parked outside. She also reported to police that the glass lampshade on the porch light was shattered, even though the light bulb itself was intact. Mike Henson helped her sweep the broken glass off the porch, which police later determined may have destroyed potential evidence, if there was a struggle or whatever. Inside the house, Kirby found Levitt and Streeter's dog, a Yorkshire Terrier named Cinnamon, who appeared very agitated and was freaking out. While inside, there's also a whole bunch of weird, strange phone calls. Okay, involved in this case, which are very suspect. Okay. While inside, Kirby answered a strange and disturbing call from an unidentified male who made sexual innuendos. She hung up and immediately received another call of a sexual nature, again hanging up the call. Okay, so then they leave, and this is again kind of suspect. So then they figure that they either went to the water park without them or they're gone, whatever. So then Janelle and Mike, they just go somewhere else. I think they go to a local pool, or they go to a water slide on the other side of town because they figured that they left without them. Even though their purses are right there, it's a little bit strange. Okay, anyway, McCall's mother, so Stacy's mother, Janice, also visited the house after failed attempts to reach her daughter by phone. Inside, she noticed that all three women's purses were sitting on the floor of the living room and also saw her daughter's clothing neatly folded from the night before. I think it was just her shorts. Levitt and Streeter's cigarettes were also left inside the house. And so Levitt, Sherrill, she was a chain smoker.
Okay.
And her son, Suzy's brother, said that she would never even leave the room without her pack. That's how bad it was.
Okay.
And then also Stacy was suffering from really bad headaches and she needed to take medication and she never went anywhere without the medication. So the medication was also there.
Yeah.
She did not take it.
Yep.
Janice McCall frantically called the police from the home's telephone to report the three women missing. After placing the call, while checking the phone's answering machine, she listened to a strange message, but it was inadvertently erased from the tape.
Ah, crap.
So this is 92, so it wasn't digital. So that was like the old little tapes.
Yeah.
So how does she accidentally erase it? It's weird.
Well, because unless she was re-recording over it. You know what I mean? Like, because after you listen, you can, if you press the record to record a new message on it, it rewinds and then you record over the. But all right. But hold on. She called the police the next day, though. The next morning.
No. Well, so Saturday is the graduation day.
Yes.
Saturday night is all the graduation parties. So then once it turns AM, that's morning of Sunday. So Sunday is when she called the police.
That's what I mean. So it. Because it wasn't like Maura where they refused to look for it was like the next.
Although it is kind of suspect that Janelle and Mike apparently thought they had left with all. I mean, it's kind of weird. But anyway,
all right. So when were they? She called as soon as they were supposed to be home and they weren't.
Wait, who?
The mom called the next morning, Sunday morning.
Okay, so I think the mom called Janelle's.
Oh, okay.
Because the original plan was that they were sleeping. Or the new plan, when they weren't going to do the hotel.
Yes.
She called, I believe, Suzy called her at 10:30 p.m. saying that they were staying at Janelle's instead. And then she never informed her of the plan to switch. Janice called.
So we do have a little bit of missing time.
Well, they were all accounted for that time, though, because they were at the parties.
They were, all right, yeah.
So they were all accounted for until between 2 and 2:20 a.m., which coincidentally are the people that first went to the house. So Anyway, so 10:30, Stacy calls her mom, Janice, and tells her they're staying at Janelle's. So Janice calls Janelle's house in the morning. And that's when she tells them they're not here.
That's what I mean.
So then she gets the number and the address for Suzy's place.
Yeah.
And then she shows up there in the afternoon.
And that's Sunday afternoon.
Right.
Yes.
So, okay.
And when do they? So she shows up there Sunday afternoon
in the evening, and that's when she calls the police.
And she calls the police then.
Yeah.
So really, we only have all day Sunday.
Right.
That is unaccounted for before the police get notified.
Well, technically, it's unaccounted if there's no.
Well,
that
I know,
was staged.
Yeah, all right.
2:20, but
so
even that, some people say even that's suspect because.
Did we even know they were there at 2:20?
At Janelle.
Yeah.
But they were at some party at around that time.
Yeah.
And they were seen and their friends were interviewed. Okay. Police were so now back to the call that was inadvertently deleted. Police were very interested in the call and believed it may have contained a clue. However, they also did not believe it was connected to the prank calls Kirby received. How would they ever know that? That's very strange. There's a lot of police strangeness in this case as well.
Yeah.
There's even a police chief named Williams. But anyway.
Oh, man.
But anyway, yeah, so that's just a strange thing to say, don't you think?
Yeah, but all right. But here, let's just throw something out there. Anybody who is in any industry that is kind of inept and is used to being inept, they look to cover their ass rather than do their job.
Yes.
They're not trying to do their job, they're trying to cover their ass. And so if you have cops that are of the same mentality, they're not the cops that aren't used to winning.
But it's still kind of strange.
No, but I'm being serious. The cops that aren't used to winning and they've gotten not used to it. And they're like, "Oh, I'm used to not winning." They cover their ass.
But hold on. Yes, I get that.
Yeah.
But however, why would they say it's not connected to the pranks, but it is connected to the disappearance? Like, that's just an odd... So they're saying... It's just kind of weird. What if it's the same... Like, how would they even know if they never even listened to the call? That's just such a bogus... It seems like a bogus statement. It's just a nonsensical statement.
Exactly. So if you're just going to be a big shot, you just make statements.
Just make it up.
No, but seriously, like, think about it. You're just going to make a statement.
Okay. So McCall's parents contacted police in reference to their daughter's disappearance from Levitt's home more than 16 hours after the women were last seen, and other worried friends and families called and visited the home the following day. Police later estimated that the crime scene had been corrupted by 10 to 20 people who had visited Levitt's house. Okay, so Rick Bookout was the officer that arrived. The scene showed no signs of a struggle except for a shattered porch light or porch light cover.
What if someone was trying to shoot the light out?
Police noted Levitt's bed had been slept in. All personal property was left behind, including purses, money, cars, keys, cigarettes, and the dog. Officer Bookout also observed that there were washcloths with makeup on them. Now, this is a critical clue, which we'll find out later. We'll get into that in a little bit. Unmade beds and the TV still rolling. I don't know who says rolling. It says rolling. It was also later mentioned that Sherrill's reading glasses were next to the bed where there was also a book turned over. And
so shit happened quick.
And there were also blinds with a slight part in them, as if somebody had looked
and then they didn't fix it.
Correct.
So they looked out and they're like, "Oh shit, run."
Or here's a person that we know at the door, let's let him in. Or whatever.
But wait, haven't you ever had a friend who's a big shot who just makes a statement without thinking it through because they have to be the most important first one to speak?
Yes.
Like you're walking and you're walking on a trail and they're like, "What's down that trail?" And they're like, "Oh, nothing. I've been down there a million times. There's nothing down there. Let's go this way." Because they're just talking out their ass.
I think this was 2 weeks later. A woman who was on her front porch in Springfield, 15 blocks away from where the woman disappeared,
saw someone pouring concrete?
Reported, we'll get to that. We'll get to the concrete. Disappeared, the morning when the woman disappeared, reported seeing Suzy Streeter driving the green silverish van from the mid-60s to 70s body style.
Mm-hmm.
The woman told authorities Streeter drove the van into the next driveway and stopped as if lost. And this was about 6:30 a.m. that day. Streeter appeared to be crying.
Oh, shit.
And The woman on the porch reported hearing a male voice from the back of the van saying, "Now back up and don't do anything stupid."
Oh, man.
Now, before we write off this sighting,
Yeah.
she did say that Suzy had a birthmark on her face. Suzy always covers the birthmark with makeup.
And they had washed the makeup off by the washcloth and didn't have any makeup.
So on all the missing persons posters, you can't see the birthmark.
Yeah.
And she said she had the birthmark. So now, all of a sudden, the sighting becomes more credible.
Yeah.
Also, you can't get to the freeway going that way.
Mm-hmm.
So they said that's why he told her to turn around, because he was trying to get on the
and
freeway to get out of.
And they had taken the makeup off because they were going to bed and they weren't expecting to leave because they didn't take their glasses, they didn't take their medication, they didn't take anything with them, and they got
Stacy
surprised.
didn't even have her shorts.
Yeah, and they were taken. They would not have been able to take her makeup, and if she had washed her makeup off,
we'll get into some weirdness with that porch lady later. But anyway,
porch lady.
Okay, on December 31st, 1992. A man called the America's Most Wanted hotline with information about the woman's disappearance, but the call was disconnected when the switchboard operator attempted to link up with the Springfield investigators. Police said that the caller had prime knowledge of the abductions and publicly appealed for the man to contact them, but he never did. Now we're getting to this. Investigators received a tip that the women's bodies were buried in the foundations of the south parking garage at Cox Hospital. What a coincidence. That police lady was also called, her last name was also Cox. In 2007, crime reporter Kathy Baird, who moved to Springfield in 2000 and got heavily involved with the case, she invited Rick Norland, a mechanical engineer, to Springfield to scan a corner of the parking lot with ground-penetrating radar. Now, Norland is an expert in GPR, ground-penetrating radar.
Oh, this is what you were talking about earlier, Maxwell. No, the parking lot.
Concrete.
Oh, yeah. They were buried under the parking lot?
Norland actually worked at Ground Zero at 9/11, recovering bodies from concrete. So he's like one of the experts in GPR. Norland found 3 anomalies, roughly the same size, and said they were consistent with a grave site location.
Okay.
2 anomalies were parallel, the other was perpendicular. Police spokesperson Lisa Cox, no relation to the name of the hospital, said that the person who reported the tip provided no evidence or logical reasoning behind this theory at that time or since then. Apparently these were psychics on a forum or something.
All right.
But there were also comments made that it wasn't because of the psychics. They were getting the information on the hospital from a whole bunch of different people. So it was random tips calling in and then the psychics on the forum.
Oh,
so they got it from different directions, and that's why they proceeded with it. Okay. She also said that the parking garage began construction in September 1993, over a year after the woman's disappearances.
Sure.
Digging up the area and subsequently reconstructing this structure would be extremely costly, and without any reasonable belief that the bodies could be located here, it is illogical to do so, and for these reasons, Springfield Police Department does not intend to. Investigators have determined this lead to not be credible. Daryl Moore, a former assistant at
all right. Is it proven that they poured the concrete or paved the parking lot after? She said it.
Yeah.
But it is proven.
It's known.
All right.
Yes.
So, all right.
However, they were saying...
After what?
Well, they disappeared. They said that it was a year before that they had started the
well, it was under construction.
Yeah, but
theoretically, if you knew the concrete worker... There could have, nobody knows.
Yeah, because they don't know when it was actually paved.
It wasn't completed.
Because parking lots, it might not even be concrete. Like, it might just be dirt with macadam paved over the top of it, and we don't know when they did it. They could have done, oh, man.
So, and then, of course, I read this in the other article. Darren Moore, a former assistant at the Greene County Prosecutor's Office, said the tip came from someone who either claimed to be psychic or claimed to have a dream or vision about the case. Might have been even 2 people. Rick Norland offered to pay out of his own pocket to extract the samples from the concrete, but they didn't let him do it. The police didn't let him do it. Think about that for a second. No. We're going to get into the police conspiracy.
We don't know. All right, the ground penetrating radar. Do we know where it detected the anomalies?
Yeah.
Was it in a corner?
Yeah.
It was like in a corner.
Yeah.
Now, imagine if you killed somebody and you wanted to hide them. And so you took them to a parking lot that was already paved and you dug down next to the parking lot and then at a right angle and put the bodies under the concrete and then filled it back in.
I don't think anybody considered that.
People would say, that parking lot's been there for 10 years. Yes. There's no way that could be the missing people. It's kind of like hiding a body under a coffin. All right, you guys ready? Hold on, wait. Hiding a body under a coffin. Oh, yeah, They used to kill people and then hide the body under a coffin.
How much does it cost to excavate? Because
I don't know, but the guy said he'd pay out of his own pocket, so it would cost nobody anything.
And if it's a corner, you're not going to destroy the whole...
They just said no. They said it's not a good enough lead. We're not doing it.
Not a good enough lead.
Yeah, we're just not doing it.
So they're just not doing it. Mystery
Although the new police chief,
What's the depth?
The new police chief, Chief Williams, he said they actually might dig it up, and not the guy. I don't know. Not that deep though. I don't think it was that deep.
Wait, who said that they're gonna?
The new police chief named Williams said that he wasn't the crooked one though. He's the current one, I think. They said he. They said they might reinvestigate. They might dig, so they won't take Nordland's money. They might actually put up the money themselves.
How long has this might dig been going on?
2011 maybe, but they haven't done it yet. 2010, I don't know.
And they disappeared in
92. 92. Yeah, it's who knows. Anyway, all right. Are you guys ready to get into Crazy Land?
Yes.
Okay. A tip called in pointing the finger at a guy named Robert Craig Cox. No relation to the police folks.
None of them are
no relation
to the hospital.
To the hospital.
Oh my.
Okay. Now the tipster was actually the brother of a girl that was murdered by Robert Craig Cox. He was imprisoned in Texas as a convicted kidnapper and robber, and the suspect in a Florida murder. In 1997, he told journalists that he knew the 3 women had been murdered and buried and claimed their bodies would never be recovered. In 1990,
so that's only 5 years after the disappearance.
In 1992, Cox had been living in Springfield and was interviewed by police then.
Oh, shit.
He had told investigators that he was with his girlfriend at church the morning after the woman disappeared, which she corroborated. However, she later recanted her statement and said that Cox had asked her to say that. He also stated that he was at home the night of his parents' disappearance, and they confirmed that alibi. In a different interview...
His parents?
Yes, Cox's parents.
So they're gone?
What?
Cox's... The guy who's under question, his parents disappeared?
No. He was at the home of his parents the night of the missing 3 disappearances. That's his alibi.
Yeah.
Okay, authorities were uncertain if Cox was involved in the case or if he was seeking recognition for the alleged murders by issuing false statements. Okay. Cox stated to authorities and journalists that he would disclose what happened to the 3 women after his own mother had died.
Oh, shit.
Because he didn't want her to know. Even though he's imprisoned. I believe they finally got him at robbing putting a gun in a 12-year-old girl's face to rob her. I think that's what he's in prison for.
Is his mother still alive?
Yes. Oh, crap. So they couldn't get him for the murder in Florida.
Okay.
Which is a whole nother thing we'll get into later. Yeah. Another interesting note, so Cox was actually an Army Ranger and even voted Soldier of the Year one year.
So he's got some training.
Well, do you want to know the not funny, but the interesting part? Yeah. Max, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
He was incarcerated with Ted Bundy.
Oh my God.
And he said he was fascinated with him and he was a big fan.
That's fun. That is funny. No, that is funny.
What?
We can do some humor.
I thought he was a big fan.
Yeah,
Ted Bundy. Yeah. He had like all his books and stuff.
Oh my God.
Bundy.
It's a little scary.
So he likes playing games with police. So he was investigated, then he wasn't investigated, but he was one of the prime suspects.
Yeah, but then his alibi fell through anyway. So immediately, how do they know his alibi? She recanted officially to the police?
Yes.
So then why didn't the police immediately go and arrest him? Or is he already in prison?
I think he was already in prison. And they did go interview him a million times.
Yeah, all right. Gotcha.
I'm actually going to play a portion of his interview.
Oh, that's awesome. We've never done this before. Little mind shockers out there, get ready. We got a treat for you.
I know that they're dead. I'll say that. I know that.
That's not a theory.
Yeah, but I know that I just know that they're dead. That's not my theory. I just know that.
Wow.
Wait, what? Why?
Because she doesn't want to break her heart.
Oh, shit.
I guess stuffing a gun in the face of 12-year-olds is okay for his mom to know about.
Oh, yeah, but they're
and
not
apparently
dead.
killing Well, it's pretty much known that he killed that 19-year-old in Florida.
Yeah, but he didn't admit it, right?
No.
See, so
And they didn't have the DNA evidence. They didn't have the DNA testing back then to prove it.
So he's willing to admit everything until.
He admits nothing. He just said he knows their dad. He didn't say he did anything.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I don't know.
No, what you're saying is he won't admit it until she dies.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want her to. He doesn't want to break her heart. But, all right, I have a question though.
Yes.
Like, what if it is kind of like Silence of the Lambs? You know, you remember what was it? Buffalo Bill and then Hannibal Lecter. Remember they were consulting each other and they knew.
Funny you should say that. When we get into other suspects, there's another guy that Anyway. Oh man, foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we're good. Our little mind shockers. If you get your friends to listen, I'm gonna make like a pin, and I'll send out mind shock pins. A Christmas Story, and he gets his decoder pin in the mail, and it says It says drink your Ovaltine. A decoder ring, a baby mind shock decoder ring, and then on each post.
All right. So hold on.
We'll give the hint.
All right, so one of the other suspects that was looked at first was Bart, with 2 T's, Streeter. So that's Suzy's older brother, 10 years older, and Sherrill's son. Okay, they moved to Springfield in 1980, I think. They moved from Seattle, Washington.
So they suspect matricide and
No.
that he kidnapped his mom and his sister?
Well, hold on. He had a drinking problem, so apparently when he was 17, he left home when they were living in Seattle. They moved to Springfield. So this is Sherrill and Suzy moved to Springfield. Okay. The reason they had just bought the new house is because she became divorced.
Okay.
And so they moved to a different house. Bart had never been in that new house.
Okay.
However, he had moved a few months earlier. He moved to Springfield.
Okay.
And Suzy actually lived with him for a few weeks, I think. Or however long, and they got into a fight, supposedly physical, and then she moved back with her mother.
Yeah.
And at that point, because of that fight, Sherrill actually, they were arguing about a million different things. With Bart and Sherrill were arguing, and then he said something about, I think he would move away, or never, and she sent him his birth certificate. I guess that was a form of disowning or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but we don't know. Like, maybe did he think he was adopted?
No, I don't know. Anyway, so they were at odds. Now, supposedly there was possibly DNA recovered at the house, but they could never match it to anything. So I don't think they found his DNA at the house. And he was polygraphed and cleared.
Okay.
And he actually runs a website now to bring awareness to the case. And in his interviews, he does seem sincere when he says he's, regretted that they were at odds. He never had a chance to reconcile. And when asked what he wanted in an interview, he said he wants vengeance, but he'll settle for justice. Like, just a couple little things. It really seems like he's not involved.
Gotcha.
Okay. So now, looking at Suzy Streeter, she had an ex-boyfriend named Dustin, a.k.a. Dusty Rekla, and they broke up 2 months prior or so because apparently there was some DWB action going on.
What's
So-
DWB?
Devil worshipping bastard. Our term coined by Maxwell Power.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I love it.
So they broke into a mausoleum
Oh, wow.
and stole skulls.
Oh my god.
They stole human skulls,
Uh,
extracted gold fillings from the skulls,
wow.
positioned the skulls at a local park where kids could find them,
Wow.
and sold the gold fillings for a monumental $30 at a pawn shop.
Oh my god. Oh, that's
So
base.
apparently when Suzy found out about this, she not only broke up with Dustin, but she actually provided the evidence to police and a written statement.
Yeah.
Possibly, well, that's what led them to be arrested, and their court date was in September.
That's crazy.
And yes, so Dustin Rekla had a friend, Michael Clay, and there was a third guy with them. They had an alibi that they were either at a rock concert or whatever that previous night. But Clay, after Clay was interrogated for several hours, he said he wished all 3 expletives were dead.
Okay.
He said that to the police officer.
Yeah.
And then later, when asked to explain these actions, he basically said he was just tired of being grilled for hours and hours and hours, and he just didn't like the officer.
Gotcha.
So when the police officer went to Clay's house to talk to him, Clay's, I think it was his sister, opened the door, and he saw like a big poster with like circle and with some kind of like satanic emblems and animal skulls and other satanic paraphernalia. And she said he wasn't there. When he returned the next day, all that stuff was gone. So this prompted suspicions of some kind of devil worshipping aspect. Now, a very little known aspect of the case. When police first went to the Streeter house, the Streeter Levitt house, and in Suzy's room there were satanic books.
Ah, jeez.
Curious. So now this prompts the question, officially, Suzy had no idea that they were planning to rob the mausoleum and steal human skulls. And when she found out after the fact, she was so disgusted, she broke up with him and filed a police report.
That's crazy. For no money at all. That ain't worth. That's terrible.
$30.
Where little kids can find the skulls.
Yeah.
Traumatized. I'm traumatized just by hearing that story.
So so now we have the DWB action.
All right. Now I'm gonna have to digress for a second because you remember they said that he was polygraphed. The one guy, the
yeah. Apparently there were a ton of polygraph tests and everybody passed except one, and they wouldn't name who didn't pass.
Okay. I got a little bit of information that I'm gonna teach our baby mind shockers out there listening. Whenever you go to get polygraphed, you take a thumbtack and you put it in your sock under your big toe in your shoe. And when they ask you a question and you're telling the truth, you push down on it, and the thumbtack will stick into your toe, and it'll cause your heart to jump. And that way, your truth meter, it'll give a false reading, and apparently that amount of pain will simulate a lie. And so when they're making your baseline and you tell the truth and you step on the thumbtack, it'll appear as a lie. That way your baseline will be biased, and when you lie, your truth and your lies will have the same baseline. And so either they'll look at it and they're like, oh, his heart jumps when he's telling the truth. Or they'll just say it's not admissible because there's nothing we can do because he's all over the place. But anyway,
that's pretty cool.
Now
That's a cool skill.
Now you guys know how you can circumvent a polygraph.
Unless you're an incarcerated felon, and then you can't have access to a thumbtack.
No, but if you did a crime, or if you're innocent, or whatever it is, and you're out on the street, and they're like, "We want you to come in for a polygraph." Have your hands up.
Here's photographs of the scene. So those are the purses all lined up right next to each other. Would people leave their purses like that?
No.
And then Stacy's shorts. And then that's the exposed porch light because the globe broke. And those are the cars parked in the driveway.
So it's kind of like when Maura Murray was packing up her house, but she wasn't really packing up her house. And
the beds look like they were kind of being slept in.
Yeah, it looks to me like they were surprised.
I'm not. I hate to have shades of Maura Murray.
Man.
I'm not convinced they were at the house. I'm not convinced.
Oh, so they were never there.
You want to hear some evidence? Okay, so we didn't get into this again. So apparently Suzy had OCD. Okay, so she always did everything the same way. The way her car was parked is not the way she parked her car.
Oh, kind of like Butch Atwood.
Yes.
Oh man.
Just saying. Just saying. Now,
wait. Who says that's not the way she usually?
One of her
Everybody
friends.
who knows her,
yeah.
she always parks the other way.
Because she's OCD and she wants everything the same.
Kind of
way.
like Butch always pulls
yes,
in.
exactly.
Yeah, suspect. It's suspicious. If one of your friends has OCD, you tell them that you removed all their CDs and put them in the wrong cases and put them back, or took out all their DVDs and put them in.
Here's
or
the radar. Here's the radar scan. So I guess it's all supposed to be straight, and then there's that weird stuff there, which again doesn't necessarily mean body, but could mean body. Oh, another thing we didn't go over
is that the actual van?
No. The police. Now, how often have you heard of this happening? The police actually bought a 1964 green van,
so that
parked it in front of the police station, and asked if anybody had seen it at that time to report it. Now that's going out of their way a little bit. So that's one strike against the police being involved. Maybe there was also.
What's the purpose of that? What?
See how observant the people.
No. So people who drive by the police station, if they see that van, they would spark their memory if they had seen it before.
Oh, they did it to
so
spark
they
the
did it
memory.
to
Yeah.
spark. That's weird. They're gonna fuck with people's memories and shit. They're gonna, like, people get confused.
There was a paper boy apparently that morning who said he saw a burgundy van and not a green van, so they were looking for those as well. All right, so if Sherrill was the target, there was a local rumor that a guy named Gerald Carnahan had either been a customer of her at her hair salon or had been dating her.
She was kind of attractive.
So Carnahan, so this was an article, after initially being evenly split for and against a murder conviction, a St. Louis County jury convicted Gerald Carnahan of first-degree murder and forcible rape on Thursday afternoon for the death of Jackie Johns 25 years ago in Greene County. Barring a successful appeal, the 52-year-old man will likely spend the rest of his life in prison. The murder conviction carries a mandatory sentence for the rest of his life in prison without chance of parole. After a separate sentencing hearing, the jury then recommended a 30-year life term on the rape conviction. That crime carries a range of 5 years to life in prison. The jury recommended the two sentences be served consecutively.
So he already has murderous and raping proclivities. So what would have kept him from doing it to all three? Is that what you're insinuating?
Investigators long believed that Carnahan raped and beat Johns 20 of Nixa in June 1985 and dumped her body in Lake Springfield. They started looking at him as a suspect within a week of the murder, but didn't have sufficient evidence to charge him until 3 years ago. He was charged in 2007 after criminalists said DNA evidence in semen found on John's body matched Carnahan's DNA.
Oh, shit.
DNA evidence wasn't available in the 80s. The Springfield Police Department got a grant in 2003 that let it afford to look at cold cases. They tested the DNA samples taken from Jackie John's body and car, but wasn't able to match it to a known person. In 2006, Missouri State Highway Patrol got a similar grant for cold case analysis and again tested the evidence and got a DNA match to Carnahan after getting a search warrant to take a swab of his saliva. At the trial, a Highway Patrol criminalist testified he didn't know Springfield police sent the same semen evidence to a lab 3 years earlier. In the sentencing phase of the trial, Moore told the jury about Carnahan's criminal record, something that he was prohibited from doing during the guilty or not portion of the trial. He listed these convictions: January 13th, 1994, second-degree burglary of a business, 2-year prison sentence. January 13th, 94, stealing from that business, 4-year prison. January 13th, 94, arson at that business, 3-year prison sentence. January 10th, 94, attempted kidnapping of a girl in Springfield, 1993.
Oh, shit.
In June 1st, 1994, assault of a law enforcement officer. Only 11 months. June 1st, 1994, unlawful use of a weapon, 1 year. Other sentences for attempted kidnapping and tampering with evidence. So I think this was just a rumor that he was a customer or a former boyfriend of Sherrill's. So
that's a rumor.
Local rumor, not online rumor. So some people some people might have saw him at the salon or customer slash boyfriend.
Yeah,
so okay, as for Cox, he, even though he had only moved to Springfield 2 weeks early before the disappearance, he worked as a mechanic at the car dealership where Stacy's father worked.
Yeah.
And the girls, Stacy and other friends, they brought him dinner or came to take him out to dinner, so they were at the dealership multiple times.
So they liked him, so they were flirting with him.
No, the father.
Oh, the father.
They didn't. They might have not seen him, but they might have not seen
them.
Cox, but Cox might have seen them.
Yep.
And so that's Stuart McCall, Stacy's father. Another suspect we didn't look at. Oh wait, he also. Very important detail. I can't believe I forgot this.
Okay.
Cox also worked as a utility worker. So he was, he had access to manhole covers and sewage tunnels and all that stuff. Supposedly he was working outside the Streeter Levitt house around that time.
Okay.
So some people theorize he could have came to the door as a utility, as a utility worker, saying, "Oh, there's a huge problem in the street. You have to come out of your house. There's a gas line. There's a gas leak." Because what could get them to open the door?
Get them to rush out. They would rush
without
out.
their stuff. It's gonna blow. Gonna blow. But leave the dog. That's another. They wouldn't. Would they leave the dog? I don't know.
No, and then
you wouldn't leave your dog.
I wouldn't, but they're probably not me. But then he would stuff them into a green van and drive away, or would he take them underground? Oh. Because if he just takes them underground, down a manhole, They might still be there.
So you're saying the green van sighting was not legitimate?
Well, no,
despite the birthmark.
Yeah, but who knows? It could have been. I mean, once you have one theory, then you have 20. Like, he could have knocked on the door and said gas leak. They rushed outside. He chloroformed them and took them down a manhole cover. And they're still there. Because, I mean, look, how many investigations do you know ever go down into the sewer to search? They never do.
So here's another guy.
California's a messed up place.
His name is Stephen Eugene Garrison. So apparently he's telling a very similar story to Cox. Okay. Garrison told police a friend had confessed to killing the 3 women during a drunken party. He told police information unknown to the public that led investigators to serve 3 search warrants at 2 sites in western Webster County, that they would find the women's bodies and clues about their abduction and deaths. He also said a moss green van believed used to take the woman would be found 12 miles away south of Fordland. The property searched was the same site where in 1990, law enforcement searched for 2 of 3 missing Springfieldians. Property owner Francis Lee Robb Sr. pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder in a case authorities said at the time believed was a drug deal gone awry. Garrison was believed enough that a gag order concerning the 3 search warrants was issued by a judge. Certain aspects of the information we received fit with the other private aspects of the case. Springfield Police Captain Todd Whitson said. Whitson said the gag order was rare, but he could not say why it was issued, other than to say there is such an order and it governs the operation and everything related to the operation out here. We can't tell you anything about it until the order's lifted, Webster County Sheriff C.E. Wells said.
Wow.
Garrison is currently serving 40 years in prison for raping, sodomizing, and terrorizing a female Springfield college student in the summer of 1993.
These guys are winners, huh?
After tracking him and several associates almost exclusively for more than a year, police have since backed off Garrison, but not all the way off. They last approached him last summer. 6 months ago, investigators looked to Colorado for information on Garrison, who is in a Missouri prison. They never let up on me, Garrison says. So their story, supposedly, if him and Cox were in contact, they could have said something.
Yeah, like Buffalo Bill and Hannibal Lecter. So he would know, the one would know what the other was doing, or vice versa.
All right, so now let's. I'm going to read another article, and we're going to get into a possible police conspiracy.
every case.
Oh, there was also
conspiracy.
one interesting thing I forgot to mention. So the other officer that came into their house, not the bookout guy, when they were leaving, he asked. Now, I don't know who does this, and in how many missing persons cases right off the bat they do this. So coincidentally, Janice McCall, so that's Stacy's mom, she worked as a dental assistant. Okay, just as her job. So she's at the house looking for Stacy. She calls police. The police show up. The other officer, when they're leaving, says, "Okay, well, it's late evening. Come to the police station tomorrow. We'll get all the paperwork ready for the missing persons. By the way, bring your daughter's dental records." Why would he say that?
Because they found a skull.
Why would he say that though? They're just missing. They could have went to another party. That was actually one of the theories, is they went and continued to party.
Yeah, but you also, you don't know what their protocol, because what if all missing persons, if they have the dental records, they just keep them. But also, if you have strange people stealing skulls and putting them in playgrounds for little kids, you're
DWBs?
Yeah, you're gonna want all kinds of dental records. But you want to know something? I have to go back to every police report is a conspiracy, because like if a policeman stops you for speeding and then he says, "You know something? I'm just gonna give you a ticket for seatbelt." That way you don't get any points and we still get our money.
Yeah.
Now, when someone looks at that later and they're like, "Well, why did he stop you? Were you wearing your seatbelt?" You're like, "Of course I was." Like that. Now, oh, shit. Why would they see everything they do?
Well, so far, where are you guys at with the case? Is it getting to more territory or not yet?
Well, not yet.
We're just getting started.
But still, 3 people disappearing is... Do you know how much harder? It's 3 times harder. Actually,
that's what makes it so mind-boggling, especially when one of them's 47.
Yeah, because
it's just bizarre.
But it's exponentially. It wouldn't even be 3 times harder. Like to kidnap 3 people would be like 3, 6, 9. It would be like 27 times harder, because you're holding one and the other one runs, and then you kick the other one down, and then the other one gets up, and then the one bites you, and it's just terrible.
Some quotes from the case. Sergeant
Isn't
Mark.
that how it normally goes?
Sergeant Mark Webb told AOL News. I had never worked a case like it before then and have not worked one since. This was former Springfield Police Sergeant Mark Webb. If you look into the records of missing persons every year, you would not...
Hold on. I have to correct because I made a mistake. I gave it geometric up until the third one. Okay? So it would be like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. I gave it geometric increase, not an exponential.
Yeah,
so
right.
Sorry. Now I fixed it. Go ahead. So it would be 3, 6.
If you look into
12.
the records of missing persons every year, you would not come across many cases like this. I think other people, were brought into this not knowing what was going to happen. It's quite possible that the primary person did not know what was going to happen. There are people that have knowledge who don't feel good about the knowledge they have. They may not be the primary person. The abduction leader probably was an acquaintance who may have known their comings and goings. Secondary players may fear going to the police because they think the primary culprit would retaliate. But anyone withholding information probably is feeling strong anxiety. If you think you don't feel good about it now, don't think it's going to get any better. Don't think it's going to go away. These are quotes from James Wright of the FBI National Center for the Analysis of Violent Crime. Okay, he said his theory came from the totality of information, but he avoided talking any specifics during a call-in television show on Ozarks Public Television. I think I forgot something about this. I forgot to mention something.
What?
All right, so Sherrill's blue Corsica was parked in the carport. Suzy's red Ford Escort was in the Circle Drive, and Stacy's Toyota Corolla was right behind it. Keys were found inside the unlocked house. Okay. An undisturbed graduation cake was waiting in the refrigerator.
Oh, so they planned on coming home. So you wouldn't think, like, even if they were going to fake their disappearance.
Jewelry was left on the wash basin, and also there was like $700 to $900 in Cheryl's wallet in her purse. Not taken.
Yeah, they were surprised, because even if you were going to plan your own disappearance, you would take the money, you wouldn't bother with the cake.
Yeah.
Like, there's just too many little things. They were surprised.
Unless they were taken from somewhere else.
And
the blind is tricky. Yeah, the blind's tricky, but you don't know when that happened now.
Yeah,
that could have been the 2 days before.
Yeah, but someone would have fixed it. That shit drives me crazy.
It was graduation. They didn't have time. They had all the activities.
I'd fix the blind.
Police. One of the police theories was that a single man could have posed as a utility worker, warning of a gas leak in the neighborhood to get them out.
This is worse because they disappeared, 11 years before more? So they've been gone a long time.
Well, there was a lot less technology, too. So, cell phone calls or whatever.
I know. But I'm just saying time. Like, for them not to have been found, if they would have been found by now. This is terrible.
Well, there's also all this weird stuff like
92? You said 92. So how many years is that? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 26?
Yeah. So the people that contaminated that was Janelle Kirby, Mike Henson, Stuart and Janice McCall, and also their daughters, who were Stacy's sisters, Meredith and Lisa. Adina Rathroff, a friend of Stacy and Suzy's, her mother Darlene, and then Janelle's parents, Randy and Kathy Kirby. So these 10 were in the report. It doesn't list other people, but apparently one of the other people was Nigel Kenny. We got another Kenny here. Who was Suzy's co-worker and friend at the movie theater where she worked. There was also supposedly someone might have also done dishes and swept up other stuff inside the house and cleaned up. Now, do you find that strange? People that have never been at the house before tidying up? Or is this just a case of, oh, well, it's Missouri, Southern hospitality, that's just the way people were, open doors, blah, blah. Maxwell, didn't you live in Missouri for a period? No? I thought you did.
On our way to California. But that was only a hotel. We won't say where it was.
So the date was actually,
so
the boyfriend, Suzy's former boyfriend, who, Dusty, that grave robbery occurred February 21st, 92. And the statement she had given was March 5th.
This is terribly worrisome, because it's so long ago that I think they would have found them.
Okay, so To lead to the police conspiracy, local rumors saw the chief of police clearing a suspect while having coffee at a local restaurant.
Clearing a suspect, so he was questioning somebody?
So this was Police Chief Terry Knowles.
Was questioning somebody?
Supposedly they were
Clearing
having
them?
coffee
So they're
at a restaurant.
So they're just...
And then after that meeting, all of a sudden the suspects were cleared.
yeah, that's strange.
So Webb...
Well, you want to know something though? A lot of times, because that's also like informal questioning. Because if they ask you to come into the police station to be questioned, but not officially, you know what I mean? Then it's...
So Sergeant Webb, apparently, now this is a strike against the police conspiracy because Sergeant Webb is making these complaints against the police chief. And he's saying, this whole case was so unusual in the way it was conducted. He said, it became a very politically charged environment and people started taking sides. It was not only an emotional ride for the family, but also for the investigators. It was also a career ender for some of the officers, and I was one. I didn't quit or get fired, but I ended up getting reassigned because of disagreements over the way the case was going. Webb says that information was not properly shared among the investigators by Terry Knowles, who micromanaged the case and questioned possible suspects himself without sharing the information, or only sharing what he felt like sharing.
Ah, shit.
Webb is not the only person connected to the case who has spoken out about problems in the investigation. In 2002, George Larby, former president of Springfield Police Officers Investigation, told Springfield News Leader that detectives did not think Knowles had confidence in them.
Oh, shit.
Larby said, if your highest command tells you how it's going to be, simply put, and that's how it's going to be, detectives felt powerless. The newer guys wouldn't have any idea what was going on, and this normally wasn't the way we did business. Knowles, who is retired, could not be reached for comment, but he gave an interview to the same reporter for a story about the 10th anniversary of the disappearance. He acknowledged being heavily involved in the case. Quote, I don't recall that being an issue back then. What anyone wants to say 10 years later, I can't control that. It's certainly disappointing, and it's frustrating at the time to be doing everything you possibly can. Again, and I'm also going to play a clip from the DA talking about the police. Again, if it was some huge, wide cover-up like with the Maura Murray case, possibly, where nobody's talking, and you have like the DA or the Attorney General saying all this stuff. It's complete opposite. So I don't know.
Have they been cleared?
Well, the chief of police at the time cleared them. Some of us do not believe they should be cleared.
So this is the DA saying that about the police. So because apparently their alibis were never completely checked out. Like one of them said he went to a rock concert, and so there were rumors that one of the other people at the parties could also have been involved. One of the other theories is that they were followed. Okay, so I'll get into this in the next episode, but these guys, Dusty, Michael Clay, they've actually posted on forums. You following?
No.
Dusty and Clay, the guys, the grave robbers, they've actually posted on forums.
And
answering
what did they
questions
say?
and stuff.
They buried somebody underneath the casket?
One of Clay's theories is that they were followed from the parties. So, because here's the problem. Nobody knew they were going to be at the house, because they were supposed to be at Janelle's house, or the original plan was they were supposed to be up in Branson, staying at a hotel. So only Sherrill was supposed to be home that night.
Could somebody have messed up the beds to make it look like they were there if they were never there?
Possibly,
they
but
never were
hold
there?
on a second.
Right.
Let's say they were there.
Okay.
Who knew they were there? Because they weren't supposed to be there.
So nobody knew.
So there's the
they could have
problem.
taken a nap.
So, right.
They could have went there for 5 minutes,
or they
hours
could have went there to
earlier,
sleep. Or yes,
in between parties.
They could have.
Like, what if they went there in between parties?
Yeah.
And and their DNA would be there, and that was their stuff.
Yes.
And then they just ran to go to another party, or just what if one of their friends came and said, "Quick! Oh shit! What if they went there in between parties and they were changing, clearing makeup, taking a shower, doing whatever, and something happened with one of their friends. And one of their friends said, "It's an emergency! Quick, come with us!" And just real quick, and they might have left their stuff there, went with them because they would leave for a friend, and I might not grab my shit. Like if Maxwell came to my house and said, yo, quick, because that could have placed them there, and they might have left, and then, oh my goodness.
Well, here's the thing, though. My point with asking that question is, how if it was someone targeting. So some of the theories that somebody was targeting Sherrill, the mother.
Mm-hmm.
So if she was involved in something shady, they knew she was going to be home. So if they followed also her daughter and her daughter's friends who were supposed to be somewhere else, they could have been like, oh, she's going to be home alone that night. Let's go get her. But then she wasn't alone. So then the plan had to change.
And they changed it.
So, again, a police officer would have...
3 people,
if
though.
it was a police officer, it'd be easy access. Police officer pulls up.
Yeah,
maybe even
yeah.
unmarked cruiser, plain clothes, but with a badge and gun.
Mhm.
Get outside. We have to go right now.
Yeah.
But then the green van, how does that factor in? It's rough.
Well,
So get this. There was also their neighbor reported a car stolen that day. It was
kind of
a
car?
Burgundy 87 Supra. Pretty nice car, actually. Actually, I don't know. They didn't say.
87 Super?
Yeah, 3rd generation Supra. So not the new, not the
Yeah,
last one.
yeah.
The
The
previous.
Celica Super looking one.
Yes,
right?
more
Kinda.
like
Yeah.
slightly more. It was smaller.
Yeah.
And then, but apparently it was stolen from Stacy's area, Stacy or Janelle's area. So it wasn't even stolen from the area of the neighbor. And then when it was recovered, police said it had nothing to do with it. I don't know how they determined that. Once again, we have police issues.
Well, but police don't. Big mouths just spout shit.
So
Just
Maxwell,
unconnected.
where are you on this theory? What do you think the most likely? Were they random serial killers like Cox, and how did he know them? Were they random serial killers stalking the area, and they just happened upon them? Well, here's the thing about the location of the street. Even though it's kind of a private, because it's at the end of like a drive, a circular drive, but like literally it's right off the main street. So like it's quiet in that immediate area, but you can get to it quickly from a main road.
I've seen all of this before, but never with 3 people.
I
Like,
know,
this
that's
is
what
always
makes it
one
so
person.
unusual.
Well, it makes it so much harder.
So where are you guys at with this?
Well, we don't have any. And
There's so much information on this case.
yeah, but you want to know what else is terrible? All right, so I've seen it a million times, but it's always one person, not 3. And every suspect seems to be a rapist, murderer. That's terrible too.
Well, not her ex-boyfriend.
Well, and yeah, well, but the 2 guys.
Do you think her friends had anything to do with it, just with the shadiness of the discovery at the house? So Janelle and Mike.
Yeah, but if
Because here's the theory: if Janelle was responsible, her mother could have made up the story about hearing them at 2:20 a.m. Right?
I hate to say it, it seems like the most obvious fits.
What, the friends?
No, the guy who's like, when my mom
Cox?
dies, I'll tell you, because that just seems way too.
But how would he have done it though? And with 3 people, so he had the green van. Like, what are you saying? He had the green van.
It's 3 people make it so difficult. Could he have? What if 2 girls went home, and he just got one, and told them to follow him or he'd kill her, or whoever came for the mom? What if they just took her? Okay.
If they just took the mom?
Well, wait. If you take a daughter, the mother will come along if you promise not to hurt her. So you can kind of use the one to control the other.
So you don't think the police were in on it?
I'd like to think that that's a step too far.
Some people think the mom was involved in something, and since the girls weren't supposed to be home, when they showed up, something weird was going on.
Yeah, but then all right. So yeah, but they were inside washing their face and doing normal stuff.
Good point. Good point.
You know what I mean?
Point.
Like, you don't take off your
Unless
makeup.
that was all staged.
That's a lot to stage. I don't believe that.
No, so you don't. So Maxwell, where are you? Where do you think of the friends? Is it shady that they cleaned up the glass, cleaned up the whole house, and then went to a water park, and then came back in the afternoon?
Yeah, I don't think your friends clean shit.
Well, this is Missouri. People are nicer.
No, I don't think that is because most people are particular about your shit. Like, you clean the house and they're like, what did you do with my shit? Don't touch it.
Maxwell, any thoughts?
No thoughts.
Come on, you
Friends
I
or
saw
serial killers?
I saw you read the whole thing.
Although I have to say, it is highly suspect that Cox worked at the same dealership as Stacy's father.
Yeah, I know.
Like, all these things are such strange coincidences.
Well, yeah, but that's an area of influence.
And
too.
he was a utility worker.
Yeah, that's...
And if I don't know, see, the problem is nothing is corroborated. Was he really working as a utility worker on their street? If he was, It's looking likely pointing at him. However, I think he declined a bunch of interviews before he suddenly decided to play games with the police, because I think one of the police investigators dealing with him said that he would say things that were false, like he didn't know.
Yeah.
So look, he was just trying to he never gave them any kind of smoking gun, really. That's why they stopped looking at him until the girlfriend recanted the alibi for him.
Yeah, too many things point towards him at least being involved. You know what I mean? Like,
well, one of the most popular one of the things that seemed kind of likely is that the abduction site was not the murder site.
no, it would have to be.
And there were different people involved with the initial, and that's what the police detective was getting at, the FBI guy, rather. He said there was an unplanned circumstance, and then it led to something else, and it could have been different people
because the
involved.
murder site would look different than that. That looks like a startled, runaway site or come outside.
But what doesn't add up for me is the car in the wrong spot and the purses left like that. They wouldn't leave their purses right next to each other, right on the floor beside the sunken bedroom. And why were the shorts folded right next to that? It's a little too convenient. It just seems weird. It's too weird. There's something off. You can agree. There's something off.
Oh, well, no. There's something off because...
And the dog... Oh, man.
There's something. Well, it's just like the other case where they left the dog in the trunk when they went out with DWBs.
Oh, that's way off.
DWBs
DWBs are all over the place. So how do you factor the ex-boyfriend, Dusty, and his friend, the possible DWB, and then also the cures? See, if you believe nothing is a coincidence, why did Suzy have satanic books? Unless that was a statement that wasn't necessarily... If the police are in on it, and it was a police officer that made that statement, to try to make a false connection. Maxwell, you're an expert on DWBs. Like, what's going on?
I still think that Cox lured them out.
How?
With he either had one of them, as hostage. If he had the mom,
how did he get her though?
But I'm not sure. I think daughters would panic and wouldn't capitulate so quickly. I think the mother would say, "Don't hurt her, I'll come with you." Like, daughters would probably run around the house screaming and yelling, whereas the mom would think for the daughter's safety. So if he had the daughter and then told the mom and the other girl to come out, the mom could calm the other girl and say, "Just leave your stuff and let's go. Let's just go outside. This will all be okay."
So a couple of other theories that are kind of crazy and out there are one of their other neighbors was a judge that was involved with some case. So supposedly if somebody wanted retaliation, they were going to go kill him. They got the wrong house.
Oh, jeez.
Also, they just bought that house recently. So if they had an issue with the former owner, they go there. The former owner's not there. So if they got a really good deal on the house, because the former owner was some kind of elderly woman, so this is unlikely.
Oh, yeah.
But just curiosities, because there's a lot of things that are weird here. They just got the house recently. Cheryl's remodeling the house. It's suspect. Like the whole thing. All of these things are very strange.
Yeah, but that's almost to motive, not solving the crime. Because just imagine if someone was like, "Okay, we have to get the old lady," and then they go there and they get a mom and two daughters, and then they bring them back to wherever they are, and they're like, "This has nothing to do with the old lady." Then they're like, "Well, shit, we have to kill him because we got 3 people and we can't just let him go."
One of the other theories I read that was kind of interesting was that this was a frat initiation, because all the parties they were going at, they were older guys there, and there were 2 universities in Springfield. It's kind of a college town.
Yeah.
Because there are stories of girls being kidnapped in a van, taken to some random location, and just scared.
What if that's a red herring?
What?
If I was a genius serial killer, which I'm saying right now that I'm not, I would.
But if you were, that's what you would say you were.
Exactly. I would go to a college town and I would observe initiations and scavenger hunts, and then I would place my kidnap killing around it. So if I was a serial killer and a genius, I would see that they took vans to kidnap people for initiations, and then I would scoop up the 3 that I wanted on the same night. So the van and the actual kidnapping would have nothing to do with each other. But people would see the van and there would be sightings, and people would know that that was some kind of initiation, and they would think that.
Now you saw the video with Cox saying, "I know they're dead."
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Does that guy look like a genius to you?
No. You know what? Yeah, but that throws me off. That's the only thing that threw me off.
He seems like he's just playing games. That's the impression I got.
But you know what? I got even further off of that one. I didn't get that he was necessarily being disingenuous. I didn't get that he killed them.
So you got that he possibly heard something from someone.
Well, because right. Did you see how he spoke and how he looked?
Yeah.
Unless he's a complete sociopath, and then
Which
it's hard. He might be, and then it's hard to read. But the way he presented it, it felt like he knew exactly that they're dead, no uncertain terms, and that he didn't do it.
I got the impression that I don't
think he was lying.
I got the impression that he just wanted to toy with the police. If I had to lean one way, I would lean not necessarily that he was lying, but that he was guessing, but he was fairly certain of his guess for some reason.
Well, and then we're kind of.
But he wasn't really certain though.
Well, either way, because we're almost saying the same thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's guessing. I did not really. It's strange. He did not seem like a criminal mastermind.
No.
He just seemed more like a weirdo, possible sociopathic weirdo. And I think I got the impression he likes playing games. But even that, he refused to speak to police for a while. Then out of nowhere, he did the interview.
Well, but what if he's intimately involved, or what if he's friends with the murderer, and what if he's just buying time, and he finds out through reading the press or what have you that the murderer is dead now, so now he can actually speak to the police, or the murderer has left the country, or the murderer has moved on and changed his name. Do you know what I mean? Like if he wants to play games, he might be waiting for his killer buddy to get to safety, or to be dead, or you know what I mean. He's not going to speak.
All right. So, do you think the Garrison guy is the guy that Cox is in cahoots with? Because they only lived in Springfield for 2 weeks. How good friends could they be? Unless it was a third party involved that they both knew. Now, I guess that could be a possibility.
Or what if they were just pen pals? What if they met on a serial killer forum? What if it sounds funny, but like, what if it is like a Buffalo Bill and a Hannibal Lecter? You know, like there has to be a serial killer forum.
All right, so Maxwell, final theories.
But why wouldn't he want to say anything until his mother died? That sounds like he's implicating himself.
It does, but he's clearly not, though, because he's.
Yeah, I know, because he said.
If you just wanted to play games, that's the kind of stuff you would say, would it not?
Yeah, but that's a good game playing.
Well, he studied Bundy. I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Maxwell?
Actually, wait a second.
Yeah, nothing, dude.
Wait a second. He was Special Forces?
Army Ranger.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like an Army Ranger.
No, see if he...
Soldier of the Year.
Who was the Army Ranger?
He was.
Cox.
He was. Oh, yeah, we have to give him a little more credit.
The cop, right?
Cox.
Yeah, but he's
he's not a cop.
He was a ranger.
The one in the jail?
Yeah, the one in jail.
Okay.
But
the murderer.
Okay,
we have to give him a little more credit. Because
he's an Army Ranger.
Yeah, that takes a little bit.
But that also was a long time ago. That's when he was like 18, though.
Yeah, no, but that also there is you are kind of forced to disassociate a little bit, and so
yeah.
I mean, if he's out there doing Secret Ranger shit, you know, then oh man.
Oh, we forgot to explore one aspect of the police conspiracy.
What?
I will play the clip.
Oh shit! I like this.
And,
I like this.
You are not going to believe this clip. It's more Murray-ish.
I like props. Did you see the... Wait, stop it for a second. Did you see the picture? All right, when he was being interviewed, he makes like a normal face, and he looks like his neck is about as wide as his head, so he's got a sizable neck. Look at his mugshot there. He makes the most innocent. Oh, I'm just a poor little baby. His eyebrows are furrowed, and he's all like he looks like a GQ model. That's terrible.
All right,
devious bastard.
It's him. They caught him. So this is the reporter that did the excavation.
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell, what's your name? You were paying attention, right?
That's the part of the article that you were reading.
What?
The excavator.
Oh, the excavator. Okay.
Kathy Baird.
Ah, that was the next name on my list.
Kathy Baird is the reporter. Okay. Check out. So she's the one that pushed for the excavation.
Mm-hmm.
Check out her interview.
Okay.
Do you have strong theories of what happened to Sherrill, Suzy, and Stacy?
I believe I know what happened. I believe they were killed before morning.
Who do you think was the target?
It wasn't Stacy.
So that leaves Suzy or Sherrill.
The mom.
Yeah.
And Stacy was just collateral damage?
Unfortunately.
What do you believe the motives were for the people that took Stacy, Sherrill, and Suzy?
I'm not going to talk about that.
What the hell?
But wait a minute. Kathy says she knows, and she's not going to tell.
You're on national television. You've got the world at your fingertips. Why won't you share it here?
She wants some money.
Why are you doing this interview with us?
Book tour.
Because their story needs an ending. That's why.
Frustration boils over, and then our producer jumps in.
I continue to be confused why we're doing this interview.
I've already said that. I mean,
You know what? I've been doing this a long time. It's not real clear. Because you're talking in code.
sorry you don't think that I'm giving you the answers that you need or you want. But I live here. And yeah, I'm afraid for my safety.
What kinds of things have happened?
We've been boxed in by cars before, and somebody came up to me and asked if I was Kathy Baird, and I said yes. And then he said, well, the people I work for make people like you disappear too.
So, death threats.
I've been advised to leave this case alone.
Oh shit!
We in more and more territory yet?
Oh shit! No, that's even that's more than more murder. Like,
Well, wait until you see the next. Wait until we do the next
Oh,
time. More and more
What was that?
episode.
shit.
What was that?
That's Kathy Bard, the guy that did the girl, that reporter that did the
Wow.
excavation, that pushed for the excavation. So basically, she's saying she knows who did it.
yes.
She said Stacy's not the target, which seems to move away from Cox and move more towards the police conspiracy theory.
How does she
And-
know all this shit?
Unless you're guessing mafia involvement, because she did she did a lot of research on it. She received thousands of tips that the police didn't receive. Like she got tips that the police did not
All right,
get.
and just then when she said, because I was trying to run through the names, she said that the one girl had nothing to do with it,
Stacy.
and so that means the
mom
mother
and
and
the
the
daughter.
mother and the
Correct.
daughter.
Correct.
And then when she said, did she say Stacy was collateral, or did she say the
Stacy.
daughter was
Stacy.
collateral
Stacy.
after the fact?
Stacy.
All right. So it probably is the mother then, and the mother pulled the daughter in. But then that fits what I said. If the kidnapper or if the murderer wanted to get to the mother and he had the daughter outside,
I think for it to be Cox, he had to have seen Stacy at the dealership, right? Otherwise, unless you're saying, could that be a complete coincidence that he just happened to work at the dealership where the girl's dad worked, where she actually visited him? Like if she had never been there, whatever, we can write it off.
okay, if he sees Stacy and
Yes.
he follows Stacy home,
Okay.
and he gets there at the time that the person who is trying to kill the mother
that's
gets the
terrible.
mother and the daughter and Stacy,
Oh,
and that's
terrible.
why he says that he won't say anything, and he gets caught for another crime, but he definitively knows because he was trying to get Stacy. What if he did get Stacy and the murderer caught him and said, tell you what, I'll just take these two. You can have
That's
Stacy.
horrible.
No, but think about that. That would be an unbelievable twist. So he would definitively know, and he wouldn't say until his mother died because he didn't have anything to do with the mother and daughter.
Okay.
But just wait. He killed Stacy, and he doesn't want to admit to his mother that he murdered Stacy, and that's why he said they're all dead, even if
Yeah.
he's only responsible for
Yeah.
one.
Now here's
man.
here's a few issues though.
Oh,
What are the
shit.
chances that he works as a mechanic at the dealership where Stacy's dad works and also happens to be doing utility work in front of Susie's house? What are the chances? No, what are the chances? And how did he know they were both going to be there? Because if he wanted Stacy,
Okay.
She wasn't
I got
supposed to
this.
be at the
I got
house.
this. I got this. What if the killer wants to kill the mother and the daughter? So they go to Bobby Cox and they say, we know and they've been watching his activity and they know that he's a rapist type of an individual. So they threaten him and they say, "Lo, you're a rapist type of dubious bastard. We need to do the work in front of your house. We want to borrow your van and your uniform and and so they make, and so he, they threaten him, and he says, sure. The whole time he's been scouting out Stacy, and he wants to kill Stacy. And so then he says, oh shit, if they're going to use me, I'll use them. And so he says to them, well, tell you what, you bring them out and give me Stacy. I'll let you. And so they go to the house.
That's
as
a lot
the worker.
of threads to unravel.
Yeah, and so either he kidnapped Stacy before, but it would be easier if they did it together. So they go, and there's a gas leak. There's a gas leak. They run outside. He takes Stacy. They take the mother and daughter, put her in the green van, and leave. And then he takes Stacy and does his dubious shit
down the sewer line.
He gets caught, and then and now they say, do not testify, do not say anything for a couple years because we need to get through this. So he won't say anything. And then he says to the police, I know that they're all dead, but I won't say anything until my mother dies, because then
the crux of this problem.
He's going to have to admit that he killed one of them, but he didn't kill the other two. So he wasn't being disingenuous.
Here's the crux of the problem with most of the theories. How did anybody know that Suzy and Stacy were going to be at the house? Because they weren't supposed to. It was only supposed to be Sherrill.
I know.
We're talking about the most narrow window here.
Yeah. Because the people who want to kill Stacy and
these devil worshippers, mafia. Who are we talking about?
The ones you can plug and play.
Right.
The one who want to kill the daughter and the one who want to kill the daughter and the mother.
Maybe it's just the mother though.
But they want to get both of them. They go to him and he's like, oh well, or they find out that he's been scoping Stacy, and so they make him bring them all back to the house. They're like, you have to get them back to the house. So then he forces them back to the house.
No, but how? If they were at Janelle's house. They were at Janelle's house for the party. Nobody knew that they were going to go back to Suzy's house.
Okay, so what if they kidnap the mother? Or what if they kidnap the mother? And they use the mother to have the daughter bring her and her friend back to the house.
But there was no phone call.
There doesn't have to be a phone call.
So they left Janelle's house and they went and parked.
What if somebody at the party... Oh, so, all right. Yo, you going into that party, man? Can you deliver this note? Come back to the house. We have your mom. Oh, shit.
And just a quick note. Suzy seemed agitated the entire night.
Yeah.
And a friend said that she had made comments. It might have been pizza ate or whatever, so she wasn't feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that she knew her mom was into something and she was upset?
Or is it possible that she was in on it and someone was threatening her and said, you have to get back to the house?
So do you believe that the grave robbers were involved in any capacity?
Well, hold on.
Or did the grave robbers know even more shady individuals who were helping them get off the charge of the mausoleum robbers?
So what if they told Cox that he needed to get them all back to the house, so he went and told the one ahead of time, you're gonna have to come back, and so all night.
So how do you and do you believe the
well, where was Stacy with them the whole night?
With who?
The three were all three together the whole night, or did all three just go missing the same night?
No, they were. The mother was at home the whole
The mother
night.
was home, but was Stacy
and Suzy were together, but supposedly also were with other people throughout the night at the party.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. What if he used one to get to the other?
Okay, so just real quick though. So what about the phone calls? Do you believe they're connected to any of it? They're completely unrelated.
Well, because what if he's just obsessed with Stacy and they told him that he needed to get Suzy back to the house for the mother, so he used Suzy to get Stacy back to the house.
All right. Well, anyway,
just conjecture. Like
you're probably everybody's favorite podcaster, and you say the fewest words.
Like when we're out, you come up with all kinds of theories. I hear you. You go, hold on. You didn't even let me speak. You're like, wait, and then you have all kinds of theories, man.
I gotta read more. And
Yeah, but why don't you just listen?
I think you're mic shy.
Nah,
the mic goes on and you get quiet.
Completely lost. I don't have.
He actually went in kind of deep in the Brianna Maitland case.
Yeah, I know.
That's when you fell asleep, I think.
Yeah,
For
probably.
the second half.
Yeah,
and then he was making all sorts of deductions. He was making all sorts of deductions.
I fall asleep once per podcast. Every single podcast, there's at least a 5-minute moment where I'm sleeping.
All right, so we'll be getting into this case more deeply. There's a lot of avenues to go down, and we're going to follow our usual blueprint of leaving no stone unturned and examining every single aspect of every single case. So
We're going to have a whole series.
all right, we hope you enjoyed this podcast.
Bye,
We'll see you
baby
guys
podcaster.
again next time.
Mindshockers. Where's my baby Mindshockers? All right, this is Rick Davis.
Maxwell Powers.
And Bruce McGuire signing off.